You are listening to the Take a Step podcast, where we help growth-minded young professionals live every day on purpose. My name is Josh Johnston, and today I sit down with the host of Your Morning Drive, Logan Lewis, who's another local podcaster, and we have such just an authentic conversation about, building a business, taking action on a health journey, taking risks, doing things despite the opinions of others. And it's just something that I know a lot of people will resonate with. So with that said, you guys enjoy, and let's take a step. Welcome back to the Take a Step podcast. My name is Josh Johnston, and today we've got the host of Your Morning Drive, Logan Lewis. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, boss. I appreciate you having me here. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I'd love to just kick it off letting you introduce yourself however you think it makes sense.
Sure. I am Logan Lewis. As Josh said, I host my own show called Your Morning Drive, where we discuss similar things to what Josh and I are going to talk about today. But, I just sit down with unique people from around town and around the Atlanta area and beyond even, and they tell me their story. What got them to where they're at, where they're trying to go, and everything in between. Family life. We talk about the good stuff. We talk about the hard stuff. It's long-form conversation, so if you're into those long podcasts that you listen to on your commute, on your morning drive, in your cubicle, whatever you're doing while you're working out, we're the show for you. And I also am the CEO of Hammerhead Creations, where I provide the marketing services for small businesses that would rather just run their business and not worry about their marketing. Yeah. So that's me.
I love it, man. Everything you just said is like really why I got into wanting to start a podcast, is because I love the deep conversations. I love going beneath the surface level and really understanding someone else's story and showcasing that to an audience. And also from the perspective of somebody listening to this podcast they can be on a walk, they can be doing laundry, they can be cooking, they can be working out, going for a run, on their drive. And you're still connecting with them. They don't have to be sitting down watching a long form video or scrolling through social media, but it's something where you're building genuine connection. You're providing a new perspective, telling stories, and somebody can be interacting with you from whatever they're doing that day, which is so cool. But I'd love to hear from your perspective, what got you into podcasting?
Well, truth be told, I wish I had a really cool origin story, but honestly, truth be told, I've done my show for 8 years. This May will be 8 years. And I'd say probably 8 years ago, or maybe 7 or 9, I don't know math, a while ago, a buddy of mine sent me a link to a podcast that he was hooked on. And I was like, what's a podcast? And he was like, oh, it's like radio, but it's pre-recorded and it's released later. I was like, the only podcast I know is talk radio with Rush Limbaugh or NPR or whatever. And he was like, no, these are just guys, and they're 20s, 30s, 40s, and they're just shooting the what.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll listen. Fine. It was Barstool Sports. It was a Barstool podcast because Barstool got in early, and I listened to it and I was hooked immediately. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, these guys this is their job.
Yeah.
Sure, they have other responsibilities. They're probably writers, content creators, whatever, but they're also spending a chunk of their day podcasting.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so cool. And from that moment, I binged them. I did research on shows that are similar to that, and I started listening to those, and I just got hooked immediately.
Yeah.
And was like, I want to do this. And when I was younger, I grew up in a very math and science heavy kind of household where not that creativity was discouraged, but my dad's an engineer, a civil engineer, and so he'd be like, that drawing is cool, but why did you get a C on your math test?
Yeah.
Even you could have painted the Mona Lisa, and he would have been like, but you still got a C on your math test.
It's very by the book.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's where he came from. But it just, I don't want to say I didn't feel free enough as a kid to do what I wanted and explore outlets, but I just never did for whatever reasons. It wasn't because I was told, no, you can't start a YouTube channel, or no, you can't do this, that, and the other. But I just kind of, that day after I binged this podcast, or that week rather, I was like, I'm doing this, and I don't know what it's going to be about. I'm just going to start it. I'm just going to hit record and go.
Just going to take a step.
And if you scroll, look at that. And if you scroll way back to the very first episode, it's sloppy, man.
Yeah,
it's
dude, it has to be.
But it's horrible in like I didn't know the etiquette. Like I recorded it at like I got hooked so much that like this is like a Sunday that my buddy sends me this link. I binge it all through the week. I go and I buy a microphone from Best Buy like on the Friday night. Wake up Saturday morning, hit record. I'm like, it's like 9 a.m. I'm yawning, not editing it out. I'm like long blank pauses, just everything that I do now. And I look back and I just laugh now because I'm like, well, I had to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and the podcast has had different shapes and sizes over the years. It actually started as a movie, TV show, music, gaming, kind of pop culture show that I just talked about the hottest of what was going on in the theaters or on the streaming platforms or the newest COD that came out with my buddies. But COVID hit, and then they both wanted to pursue other things. One of them was starting a family and getting married, and the other was trying to grow their career. So, I mean, we just kind of split ways, and I took a pause, and I thought, well, nothing's more boring than listening to one person talk about their opinion about something. It's always nice to have a couple people to banter off of.
For sure.
So I was like, well, at this time, I'm 5 years in. So I did that entertainment show for like 5 years.
By yourself?
Well, with my buddies.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, you know, I was like, well, what do I like? And now podcasting has kind of like come up, you know?
Now it's like a hot thing. Back then it was still like this. It wasn't a prominent outlet in media. It was more just like guys that are having fun.
Right. So I was like, well, all the comedians that I listen to, you know, Tom Segura's and the Conan O'Briens, the Theo Vaughns, the Joe Rogans here and there. I said long form conversation, but I'm not as long as Joe Rogan, folks. That's like a half a day binger right there. But I enjoy them because they have guests on and they talk to the guests. And of course, their guests are people like Bert Kreischer or the president of the United States, like huge guests. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can't do that yet because I'm just a guy. So I'll just start local. And so I just started DMing companies around town that I liked and supported personally, like small businesses. And I was like, hey, can I interview you? And they're like, what's the point? And I was like, we're just to have a conversation. Yeah. And at the end,
hear your story.
Hear your story. I'll tag you, tag your business and all the social promotion. It'll be good for your brand, for people to hear your story. And that just caught on. And now like, I can't go anywhere without getting a DM from someone that's just like, let me jump on. And I'm always just like, yes, because I'll let anyone jump on. Yeah. Anyone that wants to. I say anyone. I have to vet a few people out because some people just want to get in front of a microphone.
You get vetted out of your morning drive, you're in a pretty low spot.
If you're watching this and I said no to you, there's a reason why.
But no. you know what? There's something so there's something that resonates so much with starting that way because you're like every single person that listens to the show has a level of resonance with the conversation that's being had. While you love hearing the Tom Cruises and the Matt Damons and hear all these big name guys that come on and talk about their come up story, but to hear the local business owner that started 5 years ago, that started their pizza shop 5 years ago, and they took on $30,000 in debt, and they're still trying to figure it out. They haven't fully cracked the code on what's going to be a sustainable, how they're going to grow, but the relationships that have come from it, the process they're in the middle of, that they're still in the weeds of trying to figure out. Like for me, somebody that's listening to that on my morning drive into work is like, here's someone like I can see myself in their shoes. Yeah, and I think if you're really trying to create a community, if you're really trying to build brand, like why not do it in a way that resonates with everybody that's going to be listening to your show? Right.
I feel like in Georgia, I can only speak to Georgia because I haven't been like an actual adult in any other state that I've lived in. But in Georgia, it feels like everyone who lives in a certain city like Woodstock, Canton, Ackworth, Cartersville, Kennesaw, everyone is super proud to be there.
100%.
And so what makes all of those cities I just mentioned and so many more so special are those local businesses that are making they're doing the thing every day. They're waking up at 5 a.m. to work out, and then they go into their office and they start planning the pizza shop for the day. Yeah. And it's like those people are the ones that we're all spending our money at. Yeah. We're all spending our free time at. So let's honor those people and tell their story. And if nothing else, it just helps them raise awareness about their company.
Yeah,
and maybe potentially attract a new customer one a week or two a week.
For sure. Guys, we'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I've got to take a second to tell you guys about the official sponsor of the Take a Step podcast, MMP Customs. They make all of the Take a Step apparel, and honestly, they're the best at what they do. I know Nathan Mooney, the owner, personally, and he is just someone who embodies the Take a Step mindset. He took action on this business a few years ago and turned his entire downstairs of his house into a full production facility. And at this facility, he's built an amazing team that serves clients both small and large, whether if it's outfitting your staff, gifts for a client, or any custom branded merchandise. They're your people and they're fit for the job. Something really cool they recently did for Take a Step is on their website, they built out a custom page specific for Take a Step apparel and merchandise that I can now send people directly to, and I'll link that down below and they can do the same for you. So if you have any need for custom apparel or merchandise, MMP Customs is the place. Let's get back into the episode. Sure. Like when you talk about having pride behind your community, I moved out to Woodstock in 2022. I grew up in the heart, like in Atlanta, in like the Buckhead community, and the last year I was there was 2020, when just there was chaos everywhere. Like whatever you believe politically, who cares? But like you can't deny that it was just absolute chaos following COVID, all the social justice stuff. It was insane. And for me, I was already considering like where I was going to. My wife and I got married in 2021, so we were trying to figure out where we were going to establish our lives. She's from a tiny little town, like between Rome and Chattanooga, like northwest Georgia, and she came down and she was living in the downstairs of my parents' house during that summer. So for her, going from that to chaos in the heart of Atlanta, she was like, yeah, this is not where we're going to be. And I'm like, I completely agree. Let's figure out where we're going. And then when we came out here, it was cool having that completely flipped perspective of back where I'm from, everybody's destroying their city. Where we're coming here, everybody loves it. Everybody loves talking about it. Everybody loves promoting the local businesses. Everybody supports the local businesses. And yeah, it's been a really cool perspective shift. And we got here 3 years ago. And it's funny, like I hate being the person that goes somewhere and never really leaves, but I don't think we'll ever leave.
And that's the sentiment to so many people, and that's why cities like Woodstock in particular has been looked at over the last few years, because they've grown like crazy.
Yeah.
Like Woodstock has grown like crazy. And I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere last year, you know, they release those top 10 lists every December about what are the best places to live in America. And I'm pretty sure Woodstock is in the top 20.
In America?
In America.
No way.
Or top 20 best places, or top 20 most desirable to live, places like that. That's because the community is so strong in Woodstock and really Metro Atlanta in general. People love Canton. People love Ackworth. Cartersville's up and coming too. Kennesaw has always been a staple. Roswell, Alpharetta. Yeah. All these places are run every day. Those local economies are all run by these local people. Yeah. And so I was like, I want to help tell the stories of local people. And, you know, if the show took off and I was in a place where I could sit down with Bert Kreischer or Tom Cruise or Jessica Chastain or insert celebrity's name here.
I saw, not to cut you off, I saw you did something, I don't know how long ago it was, but you were going to post and tag Theo Von every day until he agreed to be on the show.
Here's the funny story about this, Josh, is I love Chris Pratt. Any movie he's in, I was like, oh, the Jurassic World movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy, he's a stud. So I was like, I'm going to get him on my podcast. So I tagged him on Instagram every day on my Instagram story for about 150 days or so in a row. And this was at the time that like the Jurassic World movies were going on. He's doing Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the new voice of Mario. And it's like, there's no way this dude's seeing my DM. There's just no way. So I stopped and everyone was like, bring that back. Bring that back. That was cool. And I was like, well, I'll move on to someone a little smaller than Chris Pratt. And so I chose Theo Von. Well, then, of course, 50 days into that, he became one of the most desirable comedians to see in America. So I kept on, though, and I did it for about 260 days or so in a row.
Almost a year.
Almost a full year. And nothing. In fact, at about day two, my perseverance here, guys, is huge. At about day 215, 220 or so, I was like, oh, he's got a hotline call number. that people call in and ask questions for his show, I'm going to start calling the hotline every day.
Let's go.
And I did that for about 30 days, and then the line was disconnected. Now, listen, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but if you're telling me that this man's hotline number has been active for the last 10 years or so that he's done his podcast, and then all of a sudden, after he gets the same phone call from the same phone number every single day for about 50 days, you can't tell me that his team weren't like, all right, let's get this dude the hell out of here.
Yeah. Somebody do some digging.
So either they disconnected the line or they blocked me. And so at that moment, I was like, I'm giving up. So if you're a D-list celebrity and you want to jump on your morning drive, I don't need to be chasing those A-listers right now, man.
I love it, dude. Well, man, what have you seen as far as like how it's grown over the past 8 years?
Well, dude, and you can probably relate to this and so many other people listening, no matter what industry you're in, from the get-go, I immediately started comparing myself to the Barstool guys.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, well, they're doing this, and they've got that equipment, and they've got that set up. Like, I need to mimic that because clearly it's working for them. That wasn't fair. Looking back, they're a brand that's existed. They do the sports stuff. They do the online columns. They do all these things, plus podcasting.
Well, and you look back, you're looking at their finished product right now.
Right.
Like, where were they 20 years ago?
Right.
Where was each one of those as an individual? Not that podcast, but where were they individually 20 years ago? Because, like, who's to say that your morning drive doesn't, form into this, group of individuals that come together and has something big? But, like, it's so funny how we take somebody else's destination that we aspire to be and think that in order for us to do anything, it has to mimic that. What like everyone wants the destination, but they don't want the climb. Like nobody wants to acknowledge that where they started was exactly where I am right now, asking the same questions. Like, dude, do I get a software? Do I need a certain microphone? Do I need can I use my iPhone? What camera do I get? It's funny. I was having a conversation this morning actually with a good friend who's a realtor. Shout out Jen Can Do Homes. She listens to all the episodes. I know that. But she wants to start putting out content based up for real estate consistently. She was asking some questions about, hey, like, what would you recommend as far as lighting, as far as mics, as far as camera? Like, what should I use? And like, all I had to say was, like, there were some things as far as like what she can talk about, but when it comes to the actual creating the content, it starts with consistency. It starts with doing like the first easy step you can take and then building from there. But like my thing for her was like, hey, for a month, take out your phone and just press record and talk to it for 60 seconds. Some of it you'll post, some of it you won't. But just building the habit of being able to clearly communicate to your iPhone, which is weird for anyone that gets started. Like, you go back, and I'm sure it's the same with you. You scroll through the back files of Take a Step to the first videos, and they were the most ridiculous, cringy, wannabe guru expert, like that had no personality behind what I was talking about. And it's funny. You have to start there, because if you feel like you have to be perfect and polished and well scripted and have all the best equipment before you start, then you are never going to start, and you'll have the analysis paralysis for your whole life. But exactly what you're saying, those guys had a well-polished, well-oiled machine that they had built for probably 15 years up to that point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I have somebody that your friend should hit up, someone local that is like she does real estate also, but she murders social media. She is some of the best videos I've ever seen, and she just does them all herself. Yeah. And she'd be a good person for her to contact.
Yeah, let's talk after that.
I will. But yeah, I mean, going back to growth. So, for the longest time, I was in that mindset of we need to do this, we need to do that. And finally, after, me and my co-host split and we broke up like the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC or Florida Georgia Line, whatever joke you want to make, the Migos.
I'm sure there was
plenty of
the
groups
audience
that grew up.
backlash after that.
Of course. Well, no, not really. Not for me. But once I rebranded to Your Morning Drive and kind of changed the logo, changed the name, changed the vibe, changed everything, I was like, I'm going to just do me. I'm just going to ride with what I'm doing. And if something happens, fan-freaking-tastic. That was the goal. But if not, I'll do this show until I'm 60. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care. Even if I'm still talking to local people 60 years from now. Like, once I stopped comparing myself to others is when I actually started to see real success. I'm no Joe Rogan by any stretch of the means, guys, but like people around town know me as the podcast guy in Cartersville. They're like, you should jump on Logan's podcast if you're a business owner. And so it's great to kind of be known as that dude. I'm not looking for fame, but it validates what I'm doing for sure.
What are you looking for?
That's a great question, man. I never know how to answer that. At the end of the day, if fame and millions comes with it, that's awesome. But I really, truly just want to be able to live my life comfortably. I want me and my wife to be able to go out to dinner whenever we feel like it and not think, oh, we've done dinner out two nights this week. We really shouldn't do a third night.
Yeah.
I just want to live life comfortably. That's it. I want to live life comfortably. That's it. I don't need to make millions. I'd love to, but I don't need to. I don't need to take lavish vacations to Gaza. That's not the place to go. That's the first country that came to mind, folks. But bear with me. You might want to cut that. I don't know.
That is hilarious.
That's the first country that came to mind. I was trying to say like Bali.
Family vacation to Gaza.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend. Yeah. Not a lot of tourist stops there. But like Bali, I don't need to go to Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, I could just go to Panama City Beach for the rest of my life and be fine. Like we're pretty simple people, me and my wife. She's a very simple person too. Like as long as X, Y, and Z are met, she's happy. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And one of those things is as long as I get to do my podcast, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, because you found something, and this is where I wanted to get to is like you found something that you enjoy doing every single day, and so many people think about success or think about, you know, what's the dream, and they paint this picture that's around this destination that they feel like they can't experience until 10, 15, 20 years after X, Y, and Z happens. But the thing is most oftentimes that's all based on someone else's definition of what they should be doing or someone else's story. And they spend their entire lives like optimizing to get to this point and then realize, and I know because I've had conversations with so many guys who have realized this too late in life, but they'll get there and realize that it wasn't as fulfilling as when they thought it, as when they set that goal 20, 30 years ago. And there's what they've come to realize is that they've fallen in love with like what they do on a daily basis, but they didn't know that. So they were always chasing this next thing. And then once they achieved what they set out, it didn't fill their cup because they were so addicted to like, hey, what's next? What's next? What's next? And what I love about you saying that is it is more often than not the life that most people want to be living, they have access to right now.
True.
They just have convinced themselves and society has convinced them that that's not success.
Right. Yeah, I think, and that comes with social media, and this is coming from a guy that helps businesses with social media. But, social media is a blessing and a curse with like, if I didn't have social media, then I would have never been able to visually compare myself to these Barstool guys.
Yep, 100%.
And, it's easy if you're trying to get into the motivational speaking or public speaking space or any kind of space, really. And you see people like Gary V, or that's his name, right? Gary V. Or like some of these other crazy successful entrepreneurs that are on stages giving speeches, and the little guy's like, well, I want to be like him, but then he's always going to compare himself to him. Yeah. And that's just not fair.
Yeah.
It's like going back to that previous question about success. It's like, it's just kind of like that question, like, if you were like me, you always like wanted a girlfriend in high school. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends growing up, but I always wanted one because I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to like when I was in college and kind of become an adult and wanted to find the person I'm going to spend life with, I'm like looking, and everyone was always just like, oh, when you stop looking, she'll come right along. And I used to be like, that's BS. That's not true. Like, what are the odds? And that happened for me. And then likewise, once I stopped comparing myself to these other companies, these other podcasters, these other people that have found success, that's when, ironically enough, it started to take off.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how the universe works like that, how God works and in that plan. It's just wild.
Well, you look at what you do on a daily basis now, the very thing you said you enjoy, you get to sit down, you get to have conversations with business owners, It's not this lavish, glamorous lifestyle that would, attract millions of followers on social media, but it's what you enjoy. And I feel like with the rise in social media, and like you said, it has its pros and cons, but the big detriment to it is it has given a false sense of what success is, and it's given people a false image to try to live up to throughout the course of their lives, realizing, and then some of them realize it far later than they should, is that you were just building someone else's future. You were building the idea you had somebody else had for success your entire life, not realizing that you never defined it for yourself. And you, people oftentimes wake up when they're 50, 60 years old, once they finally get to retirement and they get to enjoy the 401k they built for their whole life, being told that, hey, this is when you'll be able to tap into what you've been working your whole life for, and you'll be able to get the retirement house and stop working. But then, what do I do now? What's the day-to-day based off now? And it gets back to the whole conversation of, is what you're doing on a daily basis, does it give you meaning? Does it give you value? Does it fulfill you? Or do you feel purpose behind getting out of bed this morning? If so, then today is a successful day.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I love all of that. It's just so easy to get sucked into that trap of comparing, and comparison can really hurt you, man. In a long term, I look back to that time and I feel like I was so unhappy doing the thing that I loved, because I thought and overthought every move I made. I'm like, oh man, Barstool would never do that. Oh man, Joe Rogan would never do that. And those just aren't fair comparisons. No. So,
have you ever seen the very first Joe Rogan?
No,
podcast?
I actually haven't, because I don't want to scroll down 2,000 episodes.
I would look it up.
Okay.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah, that's probably the smarter way to do it.
You look it up, and I from what I remember seeing, it was literally something set up on a coffee table with a couple guys on the couch that were just they were laughing and joking. They're like, oh, maybe we should start talking now. And it was just this much less produced than this is right here.
Sure.
Way less. It was literally you take your iPhone out, which less than that, because they had whatever they were using, little camcorders back then. But yeah, that's the way it started. And he signed a
multi-million-dollar
deal with Spotify to go all in with them. And yeah, it's crazy how you're right. It's the comparison game.
Sorry, I keep harping on that, but I just feel like it's so dangerous. And I feel like we all do it to some extent. Even if you've weeded yourself off of the comparison game, kind of like I have, there's still sometimes when I'm doing things just in the back of my mind, there's this little voice, this little devil on my shoulder that's like, you're still not good enough.
Yeah.
And so...
Well, dude, and it's not just business.
No, it's everything. It's being a husband.
Great. I was literally about to use that example. If my wife follows another couple and the wife posts a story of hey, my husband brought me home flowers today, love him so much, and tags him in it, then it innately in the back of her mind, she's like, well, Josh didn't bring me flowers today.
Can we cuss on here?
To say whatever you want, come as you are.
Ladies, get that shit out of here. No more of that. No more. I don't need to see how David and Victoria Beckham give each other back massages. We don't need those comparisons. Yeah. It can hurt your relationship.
100%. 100%.
I'm kidding, of course. That was for comedy, of course.
But from the husband's perspective, my wife made me lunch that I brought to work today. Well, what were you doing last night? You were watching Netflix. You could have been loving me a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's okay. Well, that's them. And I don't need. I try really hard to not post anything where it's gonna create this ideal picture that I have for my life, thinking that someone else is gonna think it's their ideal picture. But yeah, dude, it's it's business, it's marriage, it's fitness for sure, money, even when you get into the conversation of faith, what is the ideal spiritual life? I don't need. I'll post something in the mornings typically of one takeaway from a scripture that I think would apply. But when I just see a story from somebody that they post every day with a picture of their journal with all of these highlights and edits and notes in it, it's okay, well, is this an image thing, or is this are you actually? Is this actually?
Are you really taking intense notes like that. And if
maybe
you
they are,
good for you.
Yeah, but still, it's like, now is my spiritual life, is my relationship with Christ any less than because my Bible doesn't look like your Bible, or I don't have a journal sitting next to my desk that's filled up with highlights. Yeah, dude, it's again, I'll continue to say the exact same thing. It's a comparison game.
Yeah, we could beat that dead horse for days. It's just a trap, and I just encourage people. It's easier said than done, but just try not to.
Yeah.
Just try your hardest not to, because it can ruin a relationship. It could ruin a friendship, a relationship with a parent, a sibling, your wife, your girlfriend. It can really hurt you. So just try your best not to.
Yeah, man. Well, I can imagine, like, in the way you've grown the podcast and continue to navigate doing that and building a business, there's probably a lot of challenges that have come up, whether if it's in your professional life, in your personal life. But like, what are some of those challenges that you think you're still ironing out a little bit?
Oh boy, I'm so glad you asked. Time for therapy, folks. No,
We
but
need one of those intermissions where it's like the LED sound, like yeah. Therapy session with Josh.
well, I think a lot of people will understand this, regardless of what business you are, especially, I'm talking like bare bones business. Like, you don't even have an office. Maybe you're a car mechanic, and you've had crappy experiences everywhere you take your car to get work done. You're like, I want to provide a better service than what these people have given me. So you start doing work in your driveway or in your garage. Well, it's real easy for me to bring my car to Josh and say, Josh, I want an oil change and a tire rotation. And Josh would say, in the back of his head, at least, not to me. And to me, he would say, absolutely, I'll do both of those things, no problem. But in the back of his head, it's like, I don't even offer tire rotations. I only do oil changes.
Yeah.
And so there's this hunger when you're first starting to just say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And digital marketing world, there's so many different things. Like SEO and websites and social and newsletters and emails, and there's just so many things. So if one person comes to me and they're like, hey, I really need help with this core service that I do offer. And they're like, but I also need help with these two things. And those two things I don't really advertise that I do. But instead of the risk of them saying, oh, you can't do all three, forget it. And then I lost business. So it's just easier for me to just say yes to everything and figure it out along the way. We have great assets in our life now with AI and with YouTube and all these things that can teach you how to do something. But I can't wait to get to the place where I'm just like, no, I don't do that. Yeah. But I know 3 people that do, and let me get you connected with them. I might not have all the answers, I might not have all the answers, but I know the people that do.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get to that point, man, because I'm tired of saying yes to everything, because I know eventually that'll lead to burnout.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to burn out. So that's a huge challenge for me is knowing what to charge, to be fair to yourself, but also not to break the bank of the client, saying yes to everything. Figuring out when to shut the laptop at the end of the night. You're a father. I'm not even a father yet. I can't imagine how difficult it is to get home from your day and you think in the back of your mind you've got 10 things that don't necessarily need to be done right now, but you'd prefer them to be done as soon as possible.
Yep.
So it's easy to just whip open the laptop. The wife's cooking dinner. Your kid is crying in the high chair. Hey, Josh, can you help with that? Oh, 1 second. It's just a trap. Am I talking about your life right now?
You are literally telling me about. Yeah, you sound like my wife.
So it's a struggle, man.
Which it's not to her credit, she has all of the
every right. I don't have children, and my wife's just like, "Are you going to shut that laptop and hang out with me?" I'm like, "Yes, sorry."
But dude, how much, like, how big of a dagger is that every time you hear that? Like, because for me, when I hear it, I'm like, I already internally know it.
Oh yeah.
But then when she says it, I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a dagger for sure. It's like, oh, hang out with me.
Yeah.
But then, like, my wife does a really good job in that, like last night we were laying in bed and she did tell me to get off the laptop last night.
Yeah.
And I was going to a networking thing late last night and I got home a little later and she was like, do you want to just hang out with me? And I was like, sure. But even then I opened up my phone and looked at some emails.
Yep.
And then I had to force myself to shut it. But then last night when we were about to turn the lamp off and go to sleep, she was just like, I'm so proud of you. And I was like, oh, I could cry just thinking about it.
Are you a words of affirmation guy?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
If she's listening to this right now, she's like in her car screaming, yes, yes, he is. So like just hearing that, like then negates her telling me to shut the laptop.
Yeah.
Because like her going and saying, I'm proud of you, keep up the good work. It's like, okay, she sees what I'm doing. She likes what I'm doing, but she still is trying to say, but I exist still too. So
dude, for sure.
I guess if you were to summarize all of that, balance
Yeah.
is the hardest thing for me personally. What about you? What do you think?
Dude, like I resonate a lot with what you just said. Is I've finally found something after spending the first 3, almost 4 years of my professional life, zero purpose, burnt out, unfulfilled, doing work that I could not care less about, to now finding something that I love, that I am able to have an impact through, that I love everything about it. And that is a huge like strength and benefit to my life. But like you said, it can also serve as a huge bottleneck to my life because I don't know when to turn it off. I don't have and I don't say that from like the hardo, like I work hard all the time,
No.
I grind 24/7, but like it's not because I'm just all about the work, but it's because I love what I get to do.
Amen, dude.
And I see the more I put into it, the more it produces back. Not only financially, but impact.
Sure.
Like I can see like getting testimonials from people that are in the community of their like impact that it's having on their lives. And like people that are reaching out, hey, listen to the podcast today and love when I heard this. Like those little words of affirmation, because I'm the same way. Like I am heavily a words of affirmation guy.
I think a lot of creatives are.
For sure. And I think that's what probably drives them like subconsciously. But yeah, for me, it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily balance. I would say it's how to align the two, how to align what I love to do professionally and the personal life that I want it to allow me to live, because I think there is alignment there. But it's figuring out like how to create the synergy between the two, where it's not work to live, or it's not, what is the right saying? It's not.
I think that's it. You're not living to work. You're working to live. I'm no expert. I don't know.
Maybe that's not the right
They know what
saying.
we mean.
Yeah, but trying to figure out how to create the right alignment there, where I get to channel the passions I have for what I get to build right now, but also prioritize what I know the priorities in my life are, which are my faith, my family, fitness, my relationships. And the growth of those are a byproduct from my professional growth. But the professional growth is I just, to answer your question, I love what I get to do, and I want to make sure I'm doing it in the right capacity.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about like it's not like I love to work. I'm such a hard ass. Like it has nothing to do with that. It's the joy of like, and I mean I've been full time now doing this. I finally quit my full-time job back in October, and I'm 4 months in or so, and I still like that first week, dude, like I'm just like on this high. And like I still am. Like every day sometimes I'm just like I'm still doing this. This is so cool.
Yeah, like for me, we had a worked out this morning with people that I business partners with. My partner owns the gym next door. Get to like continue to build and nurture that relationship. We had a mastermind group here. I had coffee with a business mentor of mine that's kind of pouring into me. We're doing the podcast today. It's like that is the dream to me. If that is what my day-to-day looks like every day, it's like this is a win. And getting back, this all gets back to the conversation of the mission we have behind Take a Step, which is to really redefine how we view success by shifting our focus from the destination to the process. Because all of this that we're talking about is the process that we chose. But most people fall into a process that is dictated by comparison, that is dictated by what they feel like they're supposed to be doing because society told them that, their parents told them that, education system taught them this is the way to do things. And I think that generates a world of people that don't have meaning behind what they're doing every day, but they're just kind of pawns in the system,
Right.
built on, how
They're just NPCs. It's rude, but they're bots. They're just operating with no real drive, no purpose. Like you've said, there's no oomph behind anything they're doing. They're just doing it. And I just, similar to you, I work in corporate and just never given a diddly damn what I was doing. It's just, it's a dream that we're sitting here in the middle of a day on a Wednesday getting to do this. Like, this is so cool.
100%. I love it, man. Well, I saw one of the things I wanted to ask you about too is I saw at the beginning of the year, your mile a day.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it very briefly, but I wanted to hear like why all of a sudden start walking a mile every single day.
Well, I'm going to be uber transparent with you, Josh, and because I feel like it's more important to talk about the negative things just as much as the positive, because someone listening to this right now could resonate with what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
And if it helps them, and I never hear about it, I love that for them.
Yeah.
But I was listening to Joe Rogan because he had Jelly Roll on. And Jelly Roll started his weight loss journey at 515 pounds. Big freaking dude.
Everybody remembers.
Everybody remembers. But now the dude is under 250 pounds. He's looking so good. He looks like he's having more fun on stage because he can actually move and have fun on stage when he's performing. And I heard that conversation. And sure, some people will say, well, Jelly Roll's got the money to pay for the ultimate fitness instructors, meal planners, what do you call them? GLP-1s. Like, he could pay for all that stuff. And he did. He started he started his first year on GLP-1s, but after the first year, he cut them and just started doing it naturally.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know the science behind it, so I can't speak to it, but I would like to think that he would want to do it for real, kind of, instead of taking like a cheat code.
I have my own interpretation of that, which is I think he started doing it and then realized that like how much more fulfillment comes from actually seeing the results based off of what I did to get those results.
Right.
And fell in love with, because of this, like the mental benefits, and this was true with me with running, the mental benefits start to far outweigh the physical benefits. Because of what you're telling yourself and because of who you're convincing yourself that you're becoming, that you're in the process of becoming. And you can see it based on his personality, how he interacts with people. The love the guy is just like a vessel for in any room, in any conversation. I think a lot of it is a result of this journey that he's on.
Right. And so, I saw him talk to Joe about that, and I went in December for a checkup of some kind of doctor's appointment. I think it was just a general checkup. This past December, a month ago. And I weighed 280 pounds.
Okay.
And for the longest time, my entire life, I was like the thin kid, like the twig. Like,
really?
You could wrap your hand around my like arms, like so thin. And then I guess I just had the mentality of like, well, I'll never get fat. So like I just ate, drank.
Yeah.
And fast forward through COVID, and then me and my wife met, and then you put on the relationship weight that they say people put on, and 280 pounds last December. And so I saw that, and that was like, I had never had a number in my head of like, oh, when I hit that number, then I'll start taking life seriously. But when I got on the scale, like, and I saw that, I was like, So I thought on it, and crazy enough, like that following Sunday in church, of course, the sermon is about just doing it. And so that following week, I did get sick. I will say that I got real sick a couple days before Christmas and lost like 10 pounds just from not eating because I had a stomach bug, and I'll leave it at that. And you have no appetite when you're sick like that. So I got a head start from getting the stomach bug, so thanks God for that one. But, January 1, I hate the New Year's resolution thing. I think if you want to make a change, you should make it now. But I said, okay, I'm going to go for a walk, and I'm going to go for a walk for a mile a day. It takes 15, 20 minutes to walk a mile, at least the way that our neighborhood is shaped. To trace it a couple times, it takes 20 minutes. And I heard Jelly Roll say, he was like, for the first 200 days, I did a mile a day. And then I started doing 2 miles a day as a walk. And then eventually I got to the point where I was comfortable running, and I would run a mile a day. And then I ran 2 miles a day. And now I'm running 5, 6, 7 miles a day. And I was like, if Jelly Roll can lose 300 pounds, I could lose 50. I could get down to 200. Mm-hmm. So here we are. What is today? The 28th? I'm 28 days in, 28 miles in. And actually, after this today, I'm going home and doing my mile.
Let's go.
Because, it's also January, and I'd love to get this mile done at 6 a.m., but it's also 4 degrees here in Georgia.
Ridiculous.
So the moment that I can get out and not have to bundle up, I'll be out there 5 a.m. Because I just love that feeling of, and you probably relate this because I know you work out in the mornings, right? You just get that extra just boost of energy, confidence, productivity when you do it right away. And it's the first thing you do in the morning. So I can't wait for the weather to get better, even more than just hating how cold it is outside. Yeah. Because I can't wait truly to be able to walk and not bundle up. And like they always say, 1 or 2 weeks forms a habit if you do it consistently for a couple of weeks or something like that. And I, again, another thing that I always heard and was like, that's BS. It would take me way longer than a week to be motivated to walk every day. And now, whether it's at 6 a.m. or 10 p.m., I did a mile because I had a day that was so crazy that the only time to do it was 10 p.m. Yeah. So I did it. I could have easily just been like, I'll do 2 miles tomorrow. And then while I'm doing those 2 miles, I'll be like, I'll do 2 miles tomorrow. I'll just do a mile today. Yeah. And so I just said, no, it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to go for my walk. Yeah. And so now I can't not do it. It's like part of me now. And so I look at my days and I'm like, when am I going to fit in that? Even though it's 20 minutes, when am I going to fit in that 20 minutes? Mm-hmm. Today it happens to be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, whatever time I'll get home after today. But the point is I just saw a dude who we all probably looked at and thought there's no hope for that guy. Yeah, that guy's going to die in his 40s.
Yeah, seriously.
Because he's so overweight. And he proved us all wrong. He's on the cover of Men's Health.
Isn't that insane?
The last time he was on Joe Rogan, he said, and he was still 400, 500 pounds, he said, Joe, I'm going to be on the cover of Men's Health. Just you wait. Yeah. And Joe was like, all right, I look forward to it. And then he came this past November, December, and Men's Health. So I was like, dude, if that doesn't make you want to run through a brick wall, then I don't know what does. And so that's why I'm walking a mile a day, and eventually I'll graduate to do 2 miles a day, and maybe I'll get into the habit of running. And then, this will come out probably February?
Yeah, in February.
So end of January hits. Of course, we got a few days left, but I'll have lost in January about 10, 12 pounds.
Let's go.
Just from walking and drinking a lot of water and just making smarter decisions on portions. I don't need a large fry. I can stay with the small fry. I don't need to upsize it. I don't need a Dr. Pepper. I can just drink a water. Mm-hmm. Just making the little changes, man. It's just...
it's the theme of going back what we said this whole time. It starts with just what's the easiest thing you can do to get started. Obviously there's with walking a mile, with those small changes up front, there's not a lot of adversity that comes in. The main adversity is just staying consistent with it and just making the decision to do it every day. But through this process, what would you say you've learned most about yourself just in this first about 30 days of doing something consistently that's bettering yourself?
That's a good question, and this might be a cheesy answer, but that I could do it. Yeah. Because I've had these moments before where I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk every day. Not necessarily a mile, but I'm going to go for a walk every day, whether it's a 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk, whatever. I've had these spurts. I started going to burn boot camp with my wife. I did that for 3 weeks, and then I was like, hell no, that was way too hard for me. You can't go from not working out at all to then boot camp.
Yeah.
That wasn't maybe smart on my part. Joined Planet Fitness. You know, I've done this over the years and it just never stuck.
Yeah.
And this whole time I thought, like, well, I can't do it because clearly something up here doesn't want me to do it. Mm-hmm. But that was all just a mindset that I had about myself that just wasn't true.
So my question to you then is, you're standing on the scale in the doctor's office. You see 280 flash on the scale. What's the first thing that you're thinking about yourself?
I think I honestly teared up a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm an emotional guy, so even talking about myself being emotional, I could get emotional. So if I cry, don't think I'm weird.
Let it out.
But no, I think I just was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, really? I think I said to myself, like, really, Logan? And I think I even stepped off and stepped back on. And self-deprecation is my thing, man. I know it's not healthy, but like the nurse, you know, she takes note of the weight, and I was like, it's because I have stuff in my pockets. Like,
so
just a quick deflector.
This is a question I wanted to ask, and it's true with anybody that's insecure about anything, is they have something that they're masking that with. Like, as far as like for weight, like I know with a lot of people who struggle with their weight, it's a comedy thing.
Oh yeah,
like it becomes a joke.
Oh yeah.
For me, with like, if my insecurity is knowing that I probably spend a little too much time on my work than I should with my family at times. And I cover that up with like, I like the way I don't really cover it up. I just get super defensive when I get called out about it. So wow. like that's why I said it's a dagger to me when my wife says something, is because I secretly know that this is something that is a struggle of mine, and I'm hard on myself mentally about it. So when somebody else calls me out or it becomes public, then that's where I get extremely defensive. So for you, I'm assuming you did, like, your mask for that was being a jokester, I can imagine.
Yeah, and you know, for the longest time, you know, I'm not just looking at me generally. Even if you scroll back on my Instagram and saw me like at my heaviest, like, I'm not a fat guy. I had a gut, have still, getting smaller and smaller by the day. That's the motivation right there.
Let's go.
But I wasn't a fat guy. I just had a gut. My legs were never fat. My face sure has looked bigger than it does right now. My arms have never been fat. I'm not a fat guy. But there was this guy that I worked with years ago. We worked in a restaurant together, and he called me skinny fat. And I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So I was like, that is what I am. I'm skinny fat. He was like, yeah, you're skinny everywhere else, but fat right there. And I was like, I thought it was really funny at the time, so I ran with it. But for the longest time, Josh, I would make jokes about myself in front of other people before, in my head, it's like, oh, I'm going to say something shitty about myself before someone else gets a chance to. So then I at least got the first word. So if I'm at the doctor's office, get on the scale, it says 280. Oh, it's because I have stuff in my pockets. My phone, I got the plus size phone. It's heavy, whatever. So that when I get in the office, the nurse says, man, have you thought about, you know, getting healthier? I at least got the first word in, so I wouldn't be pissed at her for giving me the recommendation. So like for the longest time, I feel like even without weight, not even weight, but just other things in life, like I make the joke first so that they don't have to. Like, I have a horrible hairline. I'm probably going to be bald within the next 5 years or so, just based on family genetics. Yeah. My grandpa was bald before he was like 35, so it's coming.
It's the same thing. Like when I first started Take a Step, when I was telling people about it, or I meet someone for the first time saying, yeah, I'm building this platform. Be like, look it up. But by the way, like I just started with social media. That's why the follower count's a little low, and because that was an insecurity. Right. It's like it doesn't have the social credibility that like a well-established brand does.
Correct.
So I would like have to initially like
feel like you have to defend it.
Yeah, I have to defend it before, because I know it's going to be something that comes up in their head, because it's obvious. Like a company that has 200 followers on Instagram at the time when I was starting to promote it, but I felt like I knew it was something that I was insecure about, that I knew they were going to see. So therefore, if I address it first, they know that, or it's just apparent that it's out in the air, and it was because I brought it out in the air first.
Yep. Same thing, man.
Interesting.
Same thing. Just make fun of myself so that no one else can. Trying to get out of that, though. especially with like this new mindset of like I can do it and I can do the things that are tough. I always used to tease my wife because she has this shirt because she teaches second grade. And so she wears these cute, fun shirts to work that are either kid friendly or school friendly or whatever. And she's always had this shirt ever since I've known her that says, "You can do hard things."
Dude, that's not a kid friendly shirt at all.
Well,
that's something that
like little kid. Oh, Miss Lewis, this activity is too hard.
Yeah.
You can do hard things. 100%. You're better than hard things. Mm-hmm. So I always used to tease her for that shirt for whatever reason, but it's true. I mean, I can do hard things. And hopefully I'll get to the point, I'll put it in the universe, I will get to the point where I don't beat myself up all the time and I actually just like stand on business and just, I don't know the words, but like I think it's fun to make fun of myself. I think if you can't laugh at yourself to an extent, then you take yourself too seriously. And I don't take myself too seriously in certain environments, but all that to say, I need to get out of it because it does hurt the brain, and you can convince yourself that these things are true, and maybe that's why I hit 280.
Maybe
because I was making fun of myself, skinny fat, skinny fat, skinny fat. Someone opens a pizza box like, "Oh, don't let me get the first slice. You'll never get a bite in." Like stuff like that. Like it's just, who is that to help? And all the friends and family members I'd be around, they'd be like, "Oh," like the kind of like, "Oh, like don't say that," but also like, "Yeah, you might be right."
So there's two things I would say to that, and there's a lot of different conversations that I would want to take that down. But the first one being, you're a product of your environment. Like your tribe, the people you're around, determine whether you're going to survive or whether you're going to thrive. And I get those same people were that they probably weren't telling you what you wanted to hear, or they were telling you what you wanted to hear, not what you needed to hear. You know what I mean? And I think if you like people that want to level up, that want to do anything better when it comes to business, their physical health, their marriage, any other relationship, whatever they want to grow in, find other people that are in pursuit of growth in that area as well. And just by product of being in that environment, they will naturally level up. Because if they're around people that are pursuing that, then they're constantly going to soak up the insight, soak up the knowledge, soak up seeing other people like pursue that as well. And there's just this, it's almost like by osmosis, that just by being around it, it naturally has that impact on you as well. So that's one thing I would say. And I think that's a huge selling point to like, hey, find the right relationships. If you're around I heard someone say this the other day, I don't look for relationships where we have a common past, but where we're going to have a common future. It's like, I don't need to cling on to my childhood, middle school, high school relationships if all we can talk about is the memories we once had, but they're not serving who I'm going to be or who I want to be. But who are the kind of people that see the same vision for the kind of man that they want to become, and how can I surround myself with those people? So that's one thing. Number two is, so I'm building out pillars behind Take a Step that are kind of serving as, chapters in a book I want to write, sections of a keynote, and even in like the leadership development stuff we do. One of those is choose the struggle. So the main point behind choosing the struggle in your life is that you choose hard and life gets easy. You choose easy and life gets hard. The funny part about it is that either way, the hard time is inevitable. You're going to face hard. You're going to face challenge. You're going to face discomfort at some point in your life. So are you either going to choose it now or be forced into it later? Or are you either going to choose to make the hard decision of doing something consistently, of getting up and going for a walk every morning, of saying no to the soda and getting the water? Are you going to choose that now, or are you going to be forced with stepping on the scale and seeing 280 at some point in your life? And then being forced to make a decision, is this just who I am now, or am I going to do something about it? But you're always going to be faced with another decision where you have the ability to make the uncomfortable choice because you know that's going to lead to comfort, which is what you talked about earlier, being that life of success is like something where I can wake up every day and live comfortably.
Absolutely.
Man, I love it. I appreciate you taking the time today. This has been an awesome conversation. We need to do it again.
We should, and we'll get you on mine too, and we'll just run it back. But yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me be vulnerable. I'm trying to do this more, because again, like I feel like all we get on the internet, besides the news, because the news is always depressing, but I feel like all we get online is just yay this, yay that, look at me, look at them, but never like
true authenticity.
Yep. True authenticity. And so I'm just trying to, if I have a small part in that becoming more of a thing, then sweet.
Yeah, man.
But thank you for having me. I love what you're doing, and I love the whole thing behind Take a Step and what you're building with the program and with all the guys that you do it with, and I think it's awesome. So keep it up.
I love it, man. Well, thank you. If someone wants to follow along with what you're doing, where can they check out either you or your morning drive or whatever you would point them to?
Yeah. So if you want to learn about more what I do on the business side, you can go to my website. It's hammerheadcreations.com. It's spelled just like it sounds. If you want to learn more about Your Morning Drive, the best place to follow along is either the Instagram or the Facebook account. Of course, it's all just at Your Morning Drive. But if you want to follow me personally, you know, I post a lot on my personal page, both things about business and personal, and the running or I'm sorry, the walking. Like I post a screenshot of my Apple Watch workout every night or every day to prove that I did it, because I've learned along the way that few people have also started walking because they saw me walking. Like one of my old bosses that I used to work at this corporate job years ago, I bumped into him at church, and he was like, dude, I've started walking because you inspired me.
Let's go.
And I was like, let's freaking go.
Yeah.
Gave him a big old hug after that. That was awesome. But yeah, if you want to follow me along personally, it's Logan A. Lewis on Instagram. And yeah, let's talk.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, thank you for listening to another episode of the Take a Step podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a rating or a review on whichever platform you're listening. And always remember that no matter where you are on your growth journey, every mile begins with a step. Beautiful.
Good stuff, dude. What a freaking time. Yeah.